Hi, this is Dana, and on my channels I talk about spiritual warfare and astrology from an anthropological perspective, namely on how to connect with homeland planets and civilizations to help you, support you in your work of ascension here on Earth. Um, I haven't done a video in some time because I've been focusing on my spiritual fighting, on numerous investigations that I do in astral and spiritual realm, on topics of interest, of course, for my work, also on developing my business. Um, Now, today, I want to focus, as I've been guided by God, on sort of preparing everyone for the upcoming karmic board meeting, which takes place in June. So we're in April. We already have 3 months and something from the last karmic board meeting. So we already have some perspective on what's been happening since then, and we should prepare for the next karmic board meeting. For this reason, I decided, as God guided me, to focus in this video essentially on a nutshell description of what is going on, sort of an evaluation, like bottom line, that will give you um, food for thought, for reflection, and introspection, placing your situation in a context of what's going on, where we're going, how to do it, and so on. So the information I want to put out there, and it stems from my investigation and research work in spiritual realm, of course, and of course is with God's guidance and Jesus and my ancestors, of course, is I believe there is very important need to focus on the essence of what is going on. Now we have 3D and 5D, and everybody keeps focusing on their own ascension. I want to place this in a broader perspective, and I want to point out that 3D and 5D coexist here. It is not that we're going anywhere else. Um, these two are two different densities, two different dimensions, different levels of consciousness. And where you position yourself between these essentially is depending on how much darkness you carry, how much darkness is being thrown at you. But 3D and 5D coexist here on Earth. They compete with each other, and I emphasize this, and this is why I speak in my channels on my channels about spiritual fighting. They compete with each other. Okay, so there is a war, spiritual war, going on between them. They overlap and they're in competition with one another. So it's a very important information. Of course, more or less is known, but it is important to understand the competing nature between the two. Um, of course, how you end the 3D, um, it's a matter of choosing the strategy. I've been pointing out in my videos that you cannot focus exclusively on love and light, on raising your vibration, although raising your vibration is critical in determining the level of consciousness. But to cross the border between the levels of consciousness and to continue your path requires to do spiritual fighting. Okay, even though of course it's critical to raise your vibration, but spiritual fighting is what determines if you cross or not from one level of consciousness to another. There are the principalities, which are entities from darkness, which define their role of and existence in precluding you to reach a different level of consciousness and cross to the next one. So you must do spiritual fighting. You must understand spiritual fighting. Otherwise, raising vibration is pretty easy concept. It's not easy to do always, but it's easy concept. So this is a given. Okay, I'm not contesting that. I'm just saying it's not enough. That's all. Now, as I said, 3D and 5D coexist here. Now, what does it mean? And I want to emphasize this because I don't feel that people understand it. There is no as above, so below. There is no above, there is no below. 3D and 5D coexist, are here present. This is why you have people who claim to channel information from God, from Jesus, from other deities, from ancestors. You don't channels, they are around us. You are able to hear them or not, depending on how much darkness you've been transmuting and what level of consciousness you've been accessing. Um, I said in other videos before and in my prophetic writings, the day when all people will be able to hear God is the day when prophets will not be needed anymore. And this is ideal. Uh, God is here. You just need to do the work so you can hear him. Until everybody gets to do that, there are specific souls and individuals chosen, appointed by God to carry specific messages and to spread the word of God in order for those who cannot hear yet to still find their path. These are the way showers, and some of them are prophets, some of them are high priestess, some of them are tarot readers, so on and so forth. So there is no as above, so below. The concept of as above, so below, it's a 3D concept. And everybody is sort of hypnotized by this concept and is using it in the wrong way. As above, so below, meaning that we should reflect. No, we shouldn't reflect the 5D. We should be the 5D. That means there shouldn't be any above, there shouldn't be any below. The 3D is the below, is the mirrored image of 5D in darkness, created by bondages, by witchcraft, by sorcery, and dark magic. Okay? So, the ideal situation is when you do not have an above and a below, you do not have a darkness mirroring the light. You have a 5D and then you transmuted the darkness, you pulled the 3D into 5D ascension. Now, where we are situated right now is where 3D is trying to pull us down through darkness into 3D, while we are aiming to ascend into 5D. But all of this happens here. All of these concepts are essentially defined by how much darkness you carry. Okay, and this darkness you carry because, as I said in another video, a draconian implant has been implanted in humans. Bondages were created with darkness, with deception, with illusion, with dark magic, with sorcery, with necromancy, with all sorts of illegal practices otherwise in astral realm, because they don't reflect the reality. It's a fake reality which they create by darkness. So 3D is a copy of 5D created by darkness. Okay, it's a copycat. You will find in 3D exactly what exists in 5D, only it's a fake, it's a counterfeit, it's a copycat, it's a stolen identity, in order for them to use, to feed. And I will describe this situation, the 3D 5D competition, and conflict. Essentially, I will describe it like frozen conflict situations in usual 3D knowledge. You have separatist movements which take a territory, they claim that territory, and they start building a state, okay, in competition with the initial borderlines of the initial state, right? This you have situations in real world, in 3D reality, that governments have been facing in many countries. Now this is the 3D, a separatist movement which created a frozen conflict, taking dominance, claiming a territory and some individuals, which is us, which they keep hostage through black magic and darkness and so on. And they are at war with the 5D, which essentially is God, Jesus, and divine realm, which again, they are all here present among us. It depends only on us to get to integrate with them by ascension. There is nowhere else to go. There is no heaven. There is no hell. There is here. The hell is the 3D. We are here in the hell. Good morning. There is no heaven to go to. You ascend, and then you reach 5D, and that is the heaven, the concept of heaven. That means you don't have darkness anymore in your energy body, which means you reached a different density, a different consciousness, and so on. But you'll still be here. You will be much like God, Jesus, and other deities, which most of people are not able to see now. But you will be here. Now, how you reach this? So again, those working for 3D aim to pull us down through from the high vibration, the high consciousness, and lighter density. They try to pull us down into 3D through bondages created on us and continuous attacks of darkness. Now, what strategy we employ in order to achieve our goal, which is to pull them up into through ascension into 5D, that's a matter of debate. It clearly has to be done with their free will. If they don't have free will, we are in competition, we are at war. So then there will be purgatory and punishment until they understand that they have to accept ascension and they cannot get dominance over the earth. Now again, how you do this, it depends. It depends from situation to situation, case to case. But you must understand that this is a life and death matter. This is no joking. Those who created the 3D and support the 3D made alliances with other races, extraterrestrial races, to support them. They use ritualic ceremonies to connect with them, much like copying what it should have been astrology, and what is the true astrology, the anthropological path to connect with civilizations from extra terrestrial outer cosmos. And this is what we should be doing in order to get support and make alliances with our home planets and civilizations to help us to amplify our impact in raising vibration on Earth, not to work in isolation, and in order to reach ancient wisdom and help, real help. Now, this is the basic picture which I want everybody to pause, take a few steps back and look at it very clearly, so they will put in perspective their own situation and understand where they gone wrong, or how what they need to change, or because I've been watching on YouTube, because I wanted to see, to have an evaluation, how, what other people are thinking. So I've been watching, and I keep seeing all these people talking about, divine couples coming together, they break up and they need to make up again. And then uh, to me, this is such a wrong path to take, simply because you lose your focus. You don't understand. The focus is for you to ascend. The focus is not for you to recreate toxic relations which essentially kept you in darkness. If you succeeded to break those, move on. It doesn't really matter, and you shouldn't be focusing between you and the other individual or individuals um, who won. It's not a matter of victory. It's a matter of individually reaching your purpose of ascension, because by that you raise the vibration and you help more the other individual than to keep going back to the same toxic situations. Okay. I think that is very wrong. People seem to what I've seen on YouTube is that people seem to keep seeking 3D type of goals. I keep seeing tarot readers saying, oh my God, he's going to ask you to marry. Excuse me, don't you understand these kind of concepts are 3D? Don't you understand that you need to ascend from this world, from this level of consciousness into the next one? So it is the feeling I get is that people have been fighting to ascend in order to fight a better match in getting married, buying house, buying car, and achieving what is in fact a 3D type of goal. You shouldn't be aiming to the same goals of 3D. You should be seeking to understand what is the 5D type of goal that you should be having, so it will empower and how to say this in English right now, and to sort of maximize the opportunities and the advantages you already gained by the ascension you already achieved. So you achieved a higher level of consciousness than you had before. And instead of you saying, okay, I'm on a different level of consciousness, now I should learn what I can do here to move further. But instead of that, people seem to be looking, oh, I reached a new, a higher level of consciousness. Now let's go back and recreate or rebond with the same individuals, with the same type of relations, with the same type of toxic. That's not the point. And this is why I emphasize this at this point as we all prepare for the karmic board meeting, because people should be focusing forward looking. That means understanding, once you reach the higher level of consciousness, understanding the new reality according to that level of consciousness, not reporting yourself to the previous goals you had in the previous level of consciousness with the previous individuals. Now, ideally, I would say this, and I wrote prophetic writings about it. Ideally, God's plan was that we, as many of us as Chen, come together in communities, because you need to be with people on the same vibration with you, because you heal each other just being in the same room, in the same place, even in the same city, on the same street. Okay, they succeeded in isolating us in this 3D, specifically so we don't come together, so they can annihilate us easier. Okay, because if you are surrounded like I am here by a group of people of a convent of witchcrafts practitioners, who keep saying slander lies about you, it's easier for them to create bondage on you, since you don't have anyone around on the same level of vibration as you or higher, so you would help each other, right? So God's plan was for individuals to come together in communities in order to create the new reality specifics to 5D, because it's very easy to do it by yourself as you're surrounded by them, like I am here. and then they don't do anything else 24 hours a day, just send witchcraft, death magic, and all sorts of sorcery, and black magic, and ritualistic ceremonies and so on. So that was God's plan. Now, as I understand from God, and He's been saying this to me for a long time, I kept hoping it's going to change. It didn't change yet. As I understand, not enough of us have been ascending, or not on a similar pace. God is showing to me that not on a similar pace. So we are not enough of us are on the same level to create communities, unfortunately. So it seems there we are at totally different levels. We are not yet in the position of creating 5D communities to support each other, and so we would have commonly a greater impact in raising the vibration on the entire earth, right? So this was the plan. I This was the plan before I started my spiritual journey in 2019. Now we are some years later and still is not achieved. I guess now the strategy must be adapted to this reality, unfortunately. But this is the ideal path to go. To as many of us to ascend on a similar level of consciousness and understanding, so we can create 5D communities, right? So we can actually raise the vibration enough, in such a way so 5D will have a greater impact. 5D vibration and 5D beings would have a greater impact on Earth in determining the vibration of the Earth. Now, the issue that I want to point out here is that in this process, as we are in this conflict, 3D, 5D, death is being used by the 3D. Now, death, it's a totally 3D concept, right? Death doesn't exist in 5D. As you transmute this darkness from your energy body, time becomes fluid, okay? Death is used by 3D in order to enslave the spirit through death of an individual, right? It's a tool. They either send you too much darkness, and at some point your human body goes into entropy because of the darkness, and then as darkness penetrates to your organ, internal organ, you develop different diseases, which, by the way, not all diseases are always sort of supported by different spirits. So it's also a spiritual matter, but it becomes a physical matter when the darkness you carry, it's too much, so it penetrates the human body. So then you reach death. Through death, the soul goes back to God. So God takes the soul before death, in order to make sure that they don't achieve ever total totally owning you. So God gives you the chance then to reincarnate and continue the fight. This is how you have numerous incarnations. The ideal thing is for us to ascend into 5D completely free of bondage, not to go through physical death, where soul goes to God and the spirit is still claimed by darkness, which take dominance, claim dominance over your spirit in order to force you to come back and incarnate, to start again the same fight of freeing yourself. So you will ascend through your evolution and not through a physical death, right? They do this in order to force you to come here, in order to feed on you, right? So the ideal thing, because people keep saying, well, we will do this in the next lifetime. No, no, the goal is not to do anything in next lifetime. You should aim not to have another reincarnation. You should aim to ascend. Once you ascend, you don't do another incarnation. Okay? Unless it's for the greater good of humanity. But you shouldn't be forced to reincarnate. You shouldn't leave things not solved in order to solve them in the next lifetime. People should understand this. Your decisions should be in such a way so you will ascend and never be forced to reincarnate. Okay, so death is being used as a tool by them in order to enslave the spirit and to force you to come back for more spiritual fighting, and to feed on you, of course. But also is so it happens through entropy, but also it happens through executions. And many individuals like Michael Jackson, Prince, and others who have done spiritual fighting, God has shown me, and many politicians like JFK and Robert Kennedy, God has been showing me many of them who were simply executed simply because they ascended too far and they were too much of a danger for the 3D, in first of all through their ascension, because they had so much bondage created on them and so many individuals feeding on them, that they couldn't afford for the two of them to ascend differently. So then they executed them. um, right? So if you high rank too much in spiritual realm, they aim to execute you. And I've been through this a few times. It's not a surprise for me anymore to learn this. And sometimes, for example, in my spiritual fighting, I'm just, I'm very goal oriented, and I'm very pragmatic, and I want to see outcome. And I keep saying to God, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? And God is always trying to temper me. And he keeps saying, they will kill you if you do this. Because I keep saying, God, I can do this. I swear I can. And God keeps saying, I know you can. The problem is they will kill you if you do this. And he keeps tempering me, and he keeps finding different ways to achieve that thing. So there are executions happening to prevent you to high rank, to reach and to spread different specific truth, which would help the humankind to understand better the process of spiritual fighting and spiritual evolution and ascension, which would, of course, mess up their plans, obviously, right? So death is being used. So you must understand that death is not a natural thing. Reincarnation is not something you should desire. Okay, this is very important. You should, for example, in the perspective of the karmic board meeting in June, I would recommend that you ask the karmic board meeting to show you what can you do to finish breaking bondage in this lifetime, not to reincarnate, right? This is a very there are a few issues which I want to correct, fake knowledge which I want to correct through this video. And one is the one related to as above, so below, which people take it like, oh my God, it's so good that we are reflecting the divine realm. No, excuse me, you should be in the divine realm. That's your goal. When you say as above, so below, that's not a good thing. That means that you are identifying yourself with a 3D, and you are reflecting what 5D is doing. There is no above, there is no below. We are all here. The difference is in density and consciousness, right? And what we aim is for the integration of or transmutation of darkness to pull the 3D into 5D. Yeah. So we should, I believe at this point in time, we should stop thinking in these terms as above, so below. Because that was when there was a huge gap between the two. We are hoping, I am hoping, that we've been fighting spiritually enough, that we are not below anymore. We shouldn't see each other, we see ourselves below. We should see ourselves closer to 5D, and we shouldn't be mirroring. We should be the 5D already, right? So that is one concept I want to correct. And I want to correct the perception about death and reincarnation. Whereas people seem to think this is natural thing to happen. This is, the church keeps saying this, that everybody dies. No, not everybody dies. We shouldn't die. If we ascend, we don't die. We stay here. We just move in a different level of consciousness and energetic density, right? And Of course, another thing which I always emphasize, that a fake knowledge which I want to correct, is that you do not give forgiveness to anyone. You only transmute darkness. That's all. Nobody gave you power to do forgiveness. That is God's job. That is karmic's board job. This is not your job. You just transmute darkness, heal, and move on. Okay. That is very, very important. You do not give. I'll give you one example. God has shown me, and this was not my plan to talk about this, but I'll give you one example so you'll understand. God has shown me. I asked God, because some creeps who keep doing harm on me, they claim to have soul contracts with me, and I said, if this one, and God has shown me through my fighting that one of them is a principality. I defeated him already, but then I said, how he has this power, and he showed me he's a principality. You defeated him. And through this you have done huge service to humanity, and of course for yourself. And they said, and how the heck did he have a soul contract with me? I don't understand. And God has shown me that, for example, upon death, in 3D, upon death, the person you meet during that moment, those last minutes of life before that individual dies and loses the soul, and literally dies, physically dies, that is the moment when you create soul contracts. What you say to that individual transforms into a soul contract. If you say to that individual that you forgive them, if you say that you love them, if you say that you want to meet them again, whatever you say, even the usual, we're not talking about lovers here, the usual concept where the church teaches us to say, may them, when somebody dies, may God forgive them, or may we forgive them, or whatever. Everything that you say during death creates soul ties and contracts. Here, the church has been teaching us to view this as a Christian good thing to do, right? Because you don't want to be the